It's match point now for Antic. They are on a 2-0 tear here, Max. They're absolutely giving it to a team known as Bliss that are on a 5-game losing streak. They've not lost only one game during the regular season. Times that by 5, and the mental must be absolutely shattered. They flip-flop between red and blue in the bands as to what do we actually do.
Well, that's what you really wonder here. Unfortunately, last night, obviously, Team Bliss weren't able to come back from that 2-0 match point. But now hoping to do so. Switching up the sides here, and they will take away the Azir. So not the Orianna that we've seen be first picked up by them, but something that's looked very good in the hands of Ryoma. Even if he's put down in lane, always able to find value with this champion.
You know what's interesting for me, though, is it's become more and more of a factor where they just bat away the Cassante and the Ornn. They feel like, well, Biopamper's impact is just going to be limited off those two champions alone. I mean, we've definitely joked about the Cassante of him having 8 games of it, and he's like, well, I'm happy to play it all day long, but generally speaking, on his other champions, he's unable to have that same level of character without the rest of his team there to bolster him up.
And it's looked really great. Now, obviously coming in here, you can see Xayah's first picked, but the question is a Varus coming out in response, right? This is a champion who's been able to make it all the way through this draft up until this stage unhinged. And now we will see if this is the champion that's locked in. It will be confirmed. Now, there is an Ashe available for the support. Obviously, you could also hold it until 3 to potentially get that counter pick. But into Xayah, this is a really good way of shutting this champion down. You're able to get the push, you're able to outrange it. And yes, Xayah's got fantastic disengage, but it doesn't matter if you're being poked down before you can even use it.
Absolutely, but it's a clear decision from them, isn't it, that we don't really care about how the laning phase goes, that we just really want to make sure that I can't get one shot because I've got that Featherstorm for all that self-peel and know that the rest of the team is there to back him up. But with the Azir denied, so they want to have those classic plays from Ryoma to back him up as always. It's a very high priority on the Udyr as well. We've only seen it usually played by Bio in the top lane, but if Invictus is anything to go by, maybe why not plays it in the jungle?
I mean, yeah, certainly I wouldn't put it past him. He's definitely got a versatile champion pool. But I think that TF there is picked up as an anticipation of this being a top lane Udyr. Going to have a very similar role to how what Zoranus was able to produce in their first game, in the fact that he is just this side lane menace, able to really keep Biopanther there by piling the pressure on and get the split push win there. Now, it will be the Renata coming out in response to this Nautilus. Not only is it a good matchup into that engage coming through from Draku, but also fantastic at pairing well, particularly with this on-hit Varus. Really empower him to get into that fight, take over and fight, even beyond death.
Absolutely, and yeah, the hostile takeover no doubt is going to be a highly sought after ultimate to find value to really flip the fight around and hope that that small CC window is enough to not only offer some damage to buff up their chances, but also turn the fight around in their favor. The rail ban, as you highlight, still the second rotation has been target Swiper and limit his impact, but as for Antic rather, not going to be sold that this Udyr would be in the jungle. Very much a case of, well, let's remove some of those carry-style junglers if you're targeting us. Let's remove that Talia.
And I think that's what's really exposed Swiper before, are these AP junglers who are able to outpace him so much. Now, it will be Team Bliss saying, okay, we're going to double down here on restricting Swiper's champion pool. What's really interesting to me, Skimmy, though, is the fact that no mid laners have been touched. I mean, obviously this could be a TF mid, but we are anticipating it to go towards the top lane. And that means that we could be seeing this 5p saved for Hayri in the mid lane. He's had to first pick, blind pick every single time, but now we really could start getting to see these funky mid lane picks.
Yeah, the SO ban coming out as well. Harry played it in the mid lane the other day and showed a great deal of proficiency with it. So really denying anything that could offer extra CC or denial of all those crucial abilities from that wind wall. As the Xin makes its debut finally, having been banned away for the majority of the series. It slips through the cracks, gets a chance to be an incredibly aggressive early game champ.
Super good here into the double range pickup of Antic. You can see that as well. He's just going to be able to Crescent Guard at the start of most of these fights to negate a lot of the damage that's going to be able to follow up on him. Now, this is kind of the problem that I had with them banning the double junglers, is Swiper's going to pick one anyway that does a relatively similar function, and this time it will be the Maokai. So, paired with the Tristana that we're anticipating will be coming out in the mid lane, really going to be acting to facilitate Ryoma to enable him to get the push and take over from that mid lane position.
Yeah, Harry's never played, oh, I tell a lie, actually. He's played one game with the Tristana, whereas Ryoma's played it twice, has felt a little bit more comfortable on it. Has found a loss on the champion, but does offer them the ability to run this double AD carry setup to very much function similar in a way of that Azir, you'd say. But the Syndra comes out, and if anything was to go from how he played it last night, he absolutely crushed it into Kisei.
That's exactly what I was thinking immediately as he slams that champion in. Was absolutely to just handle Kisei in that 1v1 solo kill after solo kill, and this Tristana really wasn't able to find the value that you were wishing that it had. Now, paired with the Xin Zhao, you have a very potent mid-jungle combo here from the side of Team Bliss. This is really where all their early game agency is going to be stemming from. So look to Why Not and Harry to get active early, especially against Maokai Tristana in the early game at least. We'll be having the upper hand and looking to use that to shut down these side lanes.
Without a doubt, Max, without a doubt, that mid-jungle is incredibly strong, and if they can get online early, then you can expect the classic Udyr shenanigans to run rampant as well, where he invades and looks to make Swiper's life even harder. And I think that's a worthwhile point, right? Because certainly when we've seen Biopanther play this champion, he's looked to try and make things happen at the level 1 mark, go for those invades, really ruin the tempo, and really make sure that the jungler falls behind, which is going to be interesting, given that usually it's been Antic that have set up these plays to allow Swiper to either steal or force a flip on how those jungle pathings will occur. So a lot to digest here. Definitely does feel like you've taken a bit of a gamble when allowing them to get the Dracu Nautilus and the Zora's Twisted Fate, but at the same time, you've got all this early game aggression, and then to late game ensure it, you've got that on-hit Varus.
Well, that's what you do think and is a bit more promising for the side of Team Bliss, right? At least in the late game, they have some answers to this Twisted Fate. Hayri on Syndra will be able to one-shot him if even a single piece of CC is able to land. And Violet will obviously have those chains of corruption to be able to find him as well. So as we load in here, the sides are different. Antic, they have a 2-0 series lead. Bliss are fighting to stay in it.
But they certainly are. Could be the final game that Bliss play this season, and they do not want it to be a defeat, that is for sure. They were the first seed coming into this one, and they want to be the second team that goes over the PCS, joining Ground Zero. As for Antic, a team of veterans, a team that has shown time and time again that they still have what it takes. 10 tournament titles in the Oceanic region, with nearly 1,800 games played between them. They're an absolute force to be reckoned with, and certainly a big reason why they're 2-0.
All that experience paying dividends here, and you have to imagine even more so as we head into the latest stages of this series. Now, an interesting level 1 play there by Antic to establish vision in the top side. This is one of the ways you can kind of protect your Twisted Fate, because Udyr, he really has a window level 1 if he wants to use that double awaken on the Phoenix stance to be able to find a nice trade. But because of that ward being dropped, it will allow Zonas this extra bit of safety. Now, that did buy time for a ward to be dropped by the side of Team Bliss. They'll know where Swipe is starting. And once again, it's a question of, okay, what can Why Not do with this information?
It's a worthwhile point that you say, as Roma instantly jumps in from the level 1 mark with the rocket jump and makes sure to land as much damage as he can into Hayri, who, no doubt, as the levels go by, he's going to start to trade back even more aggressively into the Tristana. But it is worth mentioning the priority differences this time around. As we've seen for the last, 2 games in a row, it's been a case where Antic get the first Dragon, Bliss get the first 3 Void Grubs, and that hasn't changed too much.
Not at all. No, completely been the same for those 2 games. Now, something else that's been decently similar is Violet and Scott here in the bot lane. They've got the double range matchup, so they're going to be able to secure the priority. Now, question is, does Swiper want to get active towards this bot side? It's obviously a very hard lane to gank with the Renata, and he will acknowledge that and flip to the other side of the map here. Biopanther's done a decent job of being able to get at least somewhat of a priority in this top lane. Will be burning through a fair amount of health and mana to be able to do so.
See the Swiper second guessing whether or not he can go for the Raptors right after already taking them, but does make his way towards the top half of the map, working towards Dominus to offer any kind of protection if it were needed. We certainly know that a champion like the Xin is very keen to get active nice and early. Seen, I think, Schönfire demonstrate that more than anybody else in the league this season. This champion can get the ball rolling nicely early. The rest of your team just absolutely gets the flourish, and already poking his head into mid lane with level 3 and a red buff too. Waiting to see what Harry can achieve. Whoa. As he rocket jumps in and instantly regrets that one. Answers back with a little bit of a trade with that explosive shot stacked up, but the flash wind becomes lightning. The audacious charge there, and that's audacious enough because it gives Bliss first blood.
Audacious is the perfect word for it. Ryoma knew that Why Not was in that bush. He was pinging onto him earlier, but ultimately just gets overconfident, thinks that the flash will be enough to make the distance, It's not, though, and why not? Crucially, getting active here in Game 1, something that he's struggled to do all series, he'll pick up Burst Blood.
Perfect start for them. We've said that before in terms of early games going their way, but that's what you need, an early, aggressive champion, and especially around the mid-jungle that you highlighted very early.
Yeah, you can see in the top lane, Zoranus really having a good time in this lane. By Panther, yes, he has the sustain. But as this lane goes on, TF will be able to bully down this Udyr. Priority in his favor. And 2 pots already expended here by Bio. So obviously, game plan pretty similar to his previous showing on TF, where you just want to play for that level 6, get yourself that TP, and then the fact that you have a disadvantage in the summoner spells really doesn't matter whatsoever because you can get yourself back to lane now. Mid lane swiper.
Instantly with the flash twisted advance, lock him on his head, but a fantastic scatter of the week. Make sure that Ryoma is not able to offer any kind of damage to really force that gank to be a favorable one. So nice little interaction there, but even better disengage to prevent the Syndra falling.
Genuinely just beautiful from Harry. He doesn't even have to use the flash because of him landing that scatter of the week. And that just means that Swiper on this Maokai will have used that summoner for basically no gain here. The mid lane, both TPs expended. And this time, the early game's looking good for Bliss. 1,000 gold is the lead. We check back in with bot lane every time they do manage to continue having the push. And that will enable a very early dragon start here for Why Not.
And certainly will. It's going to be completely there to flip the script around what we come to expect of this one. But playing around that lane priority is going to be the name of the game. As it does seem like they're going to get that crash in quite nicely. Pano head back to mid lane. You can see that Ryoma, having forced Harry back, is be quite content in pushing out this wave instead and starting to build up a bit of a lead of his own as he's trailing, what, 1 wave behind at the moment. We'll give it a bit of a chance to catch up.
Yeah, did find a nice trade there, forcing Harry back to base. It is a cannon wave, so obviously not going to miss too much in the way of CS. But it does buy Ryoma a nice little window to get his reset off. Now, we talked about trades. Already the trading script has kind of been flipped as Hook barely misses from Dragku. But it will be that first dragon falling in favor of Team Bliss. The Grub's now the objective that Swiper's looking at. He has top lane priority, but this is on vision of Team Bliss. They should know that Ryoma's coming from base as well. So I do see a world in which they're going to contest these.
Really would expect so, and at this stage too, it's a case of really Antic picking up one and saying, well, we can't really afford to take much more than that. Your mid jungle is stronger, your Udyr's got the crash. Our lanes are just looking to cruise on by. And with the vision reveal there from Why Not, with Bio hot in pursuit. They'll spot them, but they'll say you can have those two.
And Swiper has to be so careful now. He doesn't have flash, and even though he has a TF with ultimate to be able to get down and help him in the 2v2, he still doesn't want to take that risk. So we'll just be walked off. Does manage to pick up the 1 grub, so not all 3 are going to be able to go over to Why Not here. But still firm objective control going over to Team Bliss. Bio's able to fight back decently in the top lane with that first purchase of the Ninja Tabis. And Antic rarely will be the slow ones to the objective.
Yeah, they certainly will be. I think you raised a good point about how this Bio Udyr pick is working. Sort of form Life Leech, certainly enough to try and really sustain through all this pain. Sure, the Aatrox was good in that same regard too, with all the lifesteal online, but nowhere near the same of what this Udyr is able to provide. Much more of a tanky champion right out the door. Roams and both these supports unable to really try and impact these lanes too much, as Botland has been a bit of a stalemate with the Varus just really having his way of things. We've seen this happen before though. Hasn't really made much of a difference though once the team fights came around. I mean, Aphelios last game was incredibly fed. But it all amounted for nothing.
And that's really what we're going to be looking to Bliss to be able to show us here in this Game 3, is the fact that they can translate these leads that they have accrued into meaningful team fight wins in the late game. As for the time being, it's about 17 CS separating these 280 carries. The Xayah first pick obviously suffering in terms of range, and Dragku might be suffering here as well.
He's going to be in trouble. The handshake goes out, shoved against the wall, no level 6, and instantly out comes the Nature's Grasp. Trying to get themselves out, the Crescent Guard to knock them back, and Why Not is the one that stands strong. But now Violet has over pushed himself. He's low, flash, and everybody flash, but they're not going to get away, as unfortunately for Antic, they lose everything and don't trade back at all.
We asked if they could continue to find fights, and Team Bliss give us a resounding yes. This time, Violet and a Why Not really able to be the difference makers there, empowered by Scott on this Renata. The initial engage was to pick out Dragku, and without a level 6 being available for King, he's so vulnerable on this Xayah. Falls down. As we take a look at how it all starts, you can see Dragku's a little bit caught here. Yes, there's a response from Swiper, but Why Not here is incredibly tanky, especially once that Crescent Guard comes out, unable to find the damage onto him. Meanwhile, Violet gets the kill onto Dragku. So much attack speed existing, and with the flash forward, the bailout coming from Scott, they're able to find the clean 3 for 0.
But they certainly did. Read them well with the flash to follow to guarantee that the uptime was pretty much perfect there. These are really promising signs then for Bliss. It's a perfect game so far, 4-0 for them in all the right places. Their jungle, that may have been suffering from a bit of a relapse in confidence, is able to really explode into life here. Down at a match point, and really Violet show where he's always been the go-to for laning expertise coming into effect.
Yeah, he's really far ahead now on this Pharos. The question is can he stay ahead in the space of this level 6 coming out of Dragku? Really, with Renata in the lane, he does feel quite empowered. Because even if that Nautilus hook is managing to land, there's always a hostile takeover, and no cleanse online for King means that he would have no way to remove that one for the time being. Now, 30 seconds on this next Dragon spawn. The good thing about how quickly Why Not was able to grab the first Infernal Dragon was that they really can accelerate themselves towards a Soul win condition. This is something that they can leverage because of that bot lane priority, and can definitely be a way to secure this game in their favor.
And that's the overall outcome they'll be hoping for here. Is a bit of a misstep from Zonas, means that Bio gets a chance to try and answer back and do a bit of damage of his own, but despite all that, it still will be the Twisted Fate that comes out ahead. That gold card, that movement speed, is just ever so annoying.
Genuinely has to be one of the most annoying top lane champions to verse, I reckon. Like, even if you're able to find a misposition, he just gold cards you and runs away with fleet footwork and swifties. But once again, right on cue here is, hold on, a bit of training in the mid lane.
Yeah, nice ultimate though, isn't it? To knock back Harry, otherwise there was potential for a little bit more damage. He'd already burnt the ultimate, but it wasn't lethal just yet. They're both critically low, and we're both junglers hovering. You're wondering if they can find much more. The flash! Oh, you'd want to say calculated, but that was incredibly low. Swiper takes the gambit, jumps in on Harry's head and says, I'll just bash you down with these hands. And Zonas TP's in with the Destiny and finds out that the fight is already over.
Yeah, TP's in. Doesn't get the gold card to lock down Why Not. Potentially could have found something on the back end there with Why Not, but it really was so close to being a kill there for Harry. You can see Ryoma living on just a sliver of health. Means that the first kill for Antic will be able to be found. A nice steal coming out from Why Not as well. And with Scott in the area, they're looking to pick up their 5 Void Grubs.
For the first time this series then, and this could be a big one. The ability to actually have some pushing power and really not feel like a lost chicken running around the map saying, what fight can we go for? 5 Void Grubs go their way, and you have a very strong Varus that would love an invitation to freely hit a tower.
Well, he just wants to fight it right now, Ryoma. Looking to avoid one in the mid lane. That Rocket Jump always going to find so much value in being able to negate anything that a Syndra and Zinzao wants to throw at you. But like you highlighted, really Violet is the one who they're looking to play through here. Going back to base now, you assume to pick up his Blade of the Ruin King. Actually a big cancel there is, hold on.
Someone else could be in trouble right now. He's got the Ghost, he's got the Flash, but he holds it. He believes himself, he knows he doesn't need to burn it, and just really weathers the storm, but might have been off more than he can chew here as they go in for that second re-engage with the cooldowns ramping. Look at the damage from Zonas onto Bio. He's taking the 1v2 as a Twisted Fate, playing as if he's what, like a Cassante or Set?
Just spacing them perfectly there is Zoranus, baiting them in, forces the Ghost out from Biopanther in response. And you can see, even though Why Not's really fed here, has the Sundered Sky, they're not able to find the damage, not able to find the lockdown necessary to take down Zoranus. So once again, he will evade capture and continues to waste Why Not's time.
Playing like he's a bruiser, but an incredibly fed caster at this point, already with the Kraken Slayer done. You talk about Violet being the strong point on the bot side of the map. Well, Zoranus once again, he's been the standout, certainly has been the MVP. Good flash. Protects the bounty, protects that perfect KDA. and prevents Antic finding an avenue back in.
And honestly, it's just been a bit of sequence of a greedy bases here from Violet. There was one under his turret that got cancelled by King, and now a flash trade out. I mean, yes, you get those summoners exchanged, but you are more than happy taking that as the Chains of Corruption not cleansed.
Oh no! He's cleansed a little bit too early there, but ultimately doesn't get punished by it, just out of range of the handshake Scott was hoping to find, and I think that's a very lucky let-off.
Yeah, it is. The extra tenacity is still going to be enough to get him out of there in terms of being able to be safe still. As hold on, Dracu is very far behind enemy lines here. Can they actually chase him down?
Yeah, they're completely flanked around. The key focus is kill this Avaris. He's not based. He might look strong, but he doesn't have the items to actually show for it. So he falls on down. Dracu picks that one up. They turn onto Scott, his lane partner, as Ryoma tries to disengage away with the rocket jump, but it's a little bit too late. Goes this mid-jungle pairing of Bliss. Packs a big punch. Double down for White. He's 4-0 as Swiper can only look as he twisted advances to a minion. Says, I'll pick this one up as they go for the slow kill after.
Violet falls down, but Team Bliss stand triumphant after that one. Why not really in these extended skirmishes finding so much value? I'm sure we'll take a look at the replay. Here it goes. You can see Dracu is very far out of position trying to cancel the base of Violet. And you can see all of Antic, they converging on towards this Varus. But Hayri, he's TP'd in behind, so even though the initial kill is found onto Violet eventually, there's still all of the damage of a Syndra and a Jin Zhao to deal with. They take out Ryoma, and that means it's just the support and jungle for Antic. No damage to be found anywhere. All that's left is to slowly chase them down and claim your prize.
It's a nice pickup. It certainly does keep them in with a fighting chance here. You've lost your prize asset in the bot lane, but you shared the wealth around the rest of the team. And now you look at Why Not's KDA. 404, tilt has not been found.
No, not at all. He's completely turned it around here. And with 25 seconds left on this Dragon Spawn timer, you would imagine this is something they want to look towards. This would definitely accelerate them towards that Mountain Soul win condition. And with all the items that they've got online, there's a serious disparity in power. You can see Ryoma will base now to pick up his Kraken Slayer, but that means he'll be delayed in terms of resetting on the map already. The 80 carry item difference is being pronounced. The Blade of the Ruin King already in the hands of Violet, and that will enable him to feel very good heading into this fight. Almost no contest to be had here, as Bliss will pick up their third dragon.
From an objective standpoint, this has been an absolute landslide. What has been an incredibly close affair with us trading back and forth the Void Grubs, the Drakes, and never really getting to a point where an Elder was even a conversation piece. This one has taken the cake, and we talk about pressure, we talk about the mental edge. What a way to try and bounce back into this series, and I think if you were to lose this one, that really would shatter you, but Antic going to answer back. You can get that third dragon, you can put yourself on for a 21-minute soul, but we'll deny you that prized asset of the Herald.
The Herald will hurt a little bit, especially if you're able to use it up in towards the lane where TF is pushing. But as for the time being, like you highlighted, that's a 21-minute soul rather that could be coming online. Definitely not something you want to be facing against the likes of an Udyr and a Jin Zhao. So for the time being, Antic, they'll be confined to catching midwaves under their turret, but with Hayri here, they're just going to crack this.
They certainly are. 5 stacks, very easy. Just to walk into the lane, hit it a few times, and down it goes. That'll be their second of the game, opening up the mid lane. Looks good for them now. It's worth mentioning, though, you look at the side of itemization on Antic, they've got a triple Kraken Slayer setup.
There's heaps of DPS coming out of these guys. If they're able to actually hit in a consistent front-to-back fight, you do worry for the side of Team Bliss, but so far they haven't been able to find those skirmishes. Misnumbered fights have really been the key here for Team Bliss. For the time being, it will just return to neutral. 2,000 separating these two teams, and Biopanther with the tankiness he's been able to pick up, still feeling a bit of the pain, but will be able to shove the waves in. That's really key, and that's something that they're missing from their previous games, was it felt like Biopanther was always catching them, always being the one who had to show up last to the play because he was responding. And this time, even though Zoranus feels like he's perpetually on top of the gold graph, Bio will have a bit more agency in this one.
We have a bit more, but it does feel like we're clutching at straws when you look at that. He's still 2,000 gold behind you, thinking, how on earth has this happened? You're down, what, 30 CS, but all those plates, all that gold from the tower taken down too. It is still such an uphill battle. Those Frozen Hearts, though, may just find infinite value when you talk about locking down all these AD-centric champs. They just want the uptime, want those front to backs as you highlight.
And that's the issue with the comp that Antic have drafted themselves, right? It literally only is AD damage coming out. And yes, you have a lot of DPS and Kraken Slayers and LDRs, which I'm sure will be built to kind of get around that. But still, it makes these cheap armor purchases incredibly effective, like you highlighted. Frozen Heart already online for Why Not, who with the Crescent Guard is nigh unkillable in team fights. As Antic, they'll look to get trade in this bot side. Biopanther very tanky, but they do have their Herald here. And with a Tristana and a Twisted Fate in the area, this turret is not long for the world.
It is gone. It won't survive that for sure. As Bio will trim the wave as much as he can. Bazornis actually goes for the gamble of saying, I'll use the Herald to run away. I know I'm getting ganked. Now I'm in trouble. The ult goes out instantly to try and land that Scatter the Weak. And it does connect. The gold card there with the Ghost and Flash active. Especially all that movement speed in his itemization. He's narrowly escaped.
He tried to get a little bit funky there with their Herald, but ultimately it will be taken down as Biopanther.
Oh. He's been baited. He just got a whiff of vision there. Oh, look at that. The Bramble smash into the hook. And Bio, he's going to feel a little bit scammed on an occasion as Why Not jumps in, wants to exert his pressure, showcase just how strong his Xin is. The Chain of Corruption's crucially not going to land. As seemingly Swiper says, I'll concede myself. You boys run away.
1 for 1. Tank's going to fall down on either side of the fight there. And the whole time, King is actually just being top lane, pushing out these waves. Feeling pretty good here. But on the other side, like you highlighted, Biopanther just falling a little bit victim to the confidence that he had. He really thought he could have actually picked up the players. Hold on for a second here. Pings are coming out onto this Baron. They've got a lot of DPS and Swiper's dead for 10 seconds.
Baron on spawn, they feel like they can do enough, especially with the likes of King forced to reset back to base. I don't think Antic really can put up much of a contest of this one. If they're going to have a look at it, only now does Swiper respawn, but that Baron seemingly gone.
Yeah, it's just completely gone here. Now, can they get out? Why Not's going to potentially look to get aggressive, but they're just out, Skimmy. What an absolute heist from the side of Team Bliss. They say, okay, not only is Swiper dead, but we know that Antic are on resets. We know that they're going to have to come from base. And with all the damage we have right now, with our Syndra and Varus, we're going to be able to burn through this one. And what better time to pick up that buff than 30 seconds before a potential Mountain Soul?
It's perfect. It really is, right? You've made sure that you still retain that gold lead, that you have the tempo to do as you please, and that you can rush back to base to use all that gold and guarantee that Mountain Soul is yours.
Yeah, Zonis fishing for a Cardi, but he finds the stun.
Very greedy from Dominus there, completely punishes the result of having no summoners, and as a result, the fight breaks out. It's a 1-for-1 so far, with Violet instantly dying, burning the cleanse for simply not enough burst before we can even burn a flash to safety. Scott incredibly low, the bailout not there, and the hostile takeover not even enough to try and force Antic back. So now we have a drawn-out 4v4 ARAM.
Yeah, but Scott is very low here on this Renata. A single spell will be able to take him down. As Harry looking for another stun.
Certainly is. King to focus right now. The Featherstorm coming there after the fact as they drag back Bio. And they say, what can we do until Why Not? As he jumps in for that Hail Mary attempt. And they do certainly get their kill. Scott flashing into effect himself. And says, I've got no HP. But does it really matter? Roma flashing on in. Burning to the Ignite. Trying to lifesteal off Bio. But he's too tanky. Harry gets the double. And from buff to buff they go.
We asked if Why Not was done, both in this series and in this game, and the answer is a resounding no. Stays alive for so long amidst all the members of Antic. As we take a look at the initial start of this play, you can see Harry just Zorinus out of position, flashes on top of him and kills him. Meanwhile, Violet, I don't think there's time for the bailout to come through because Scott is trapped in the animation of the hostile takeover. And that means that you lose your Varus early on. That's huge, given how much DPS is able to put out. But keep your eyes onto Why Not here. He really is the hero of this play. You can see they bait the vision, they kill this control ward, and then set up a little pick here. Trying to find something. As it's the stun from Harry. There is the go button for Why Not to get amidst 4 here. And yes, everyone's hitting him. They're inside his ultimate. But even so, he's able to survive. They're not able to kill him because of how tanky he is. And that enables all of the members of Team Bliss to get into the fight. Ryoma finds one, but falls down himself. 4 kills and the soul going over to Team Bliss.
And these drawn-out fights are seemingly working in Team Bliss's favour, even more so now that they've got all those extra resistances online, with the Mountain Soul being theirs. It has been an objective control kingdom, and really, the first time we've seen Wino exert his control, showcasing that he is the jungle main. And it shouldn't be too easy for Swiper to cycle through those 5 different champions. They'll set up a siege, they'll match the towers taken, and with the Baron now expiring, back to base they go.
Yeah, back to base. Resets coming through here. You can see their inventory is feeling quite nice at the moment. Harry's just finished up his 3rd item, and while it should be soon to follow, you can see they're setting a bit of a trap here onto Ryoma.
Don't do it, Ryoma, don't do it. He's face checked. Well, not even face checked. He's just being met by a chain of corruption. And he doesn't have the luxury of a cleanse to get him out. So the trap finally working. Team Bliss have been trying multiple times throughout this best of 5. But this time it works in their favor. And yet again now they get to force that numbers mismatch because it's a 3v5 defending the space.
And that's the problem with having a Xayah, right, is you're actually quite short-ranged in terms of being able to land your wave clear. So it means that Team Bliss can just threaten here with the Syndra. They're going to crack the inhib, and that will go largely unpunished. You can see Bipanther's reset to be able to deal with the wave that Zoran has pushed in. And so far, the Silence haven't been anywhere near as big of a threat as Hold On. Team Bliss, they're all on a ward here, but they're still looking for a pick.
They certainly are on Vision, and still Antic entertain the idea of baiting them in. Cleanse coming out from the very last moment there by Violet. Member standing in his way to make sure that he doesn't get rooted in place, but he flashes to try and find the kill that are after. Swipe the focus. Dominus threatening with the gold card. The hook lands from max range, and in comes the TP from Bipanther. Is it too little, too late? Violet is living. He's kiting. The Bella is being propped, but he gets the reset on kill. And they'll look for the perfect ace. As the Twist of Fate wraps around, he'll take down the Varus, but he won't save the game. It's an ace.
He absolutely won't. Team Bliss here striking back with vengeance in Game 3. 25 minutes in, they will look to claw their way back into the series. They're still down, but they're not out.
They certainly aren't out of this one, Max. There's still more juice left in the tank. They'll look to try and get themselves on that reverse sweep hype train as they take Game 3.
Thank you.